All right, it's Friday, time to kick back, relax, talk music. I got a jam-packed episode today, I gotta tell you. We're gonna talk about that Burton Cummings feud and some Burton Cummings stuff I got. We're gonna talk about the new Sebastian Bach, the new Motley Crue. I'm looking at my cheat notes here. Got some indie metal coming up and tons more. All right, 33ers, how the hell are you doing? Let's jump right into this. It's been an interesting week. This week I heard two new tracks from what I guess you call classic hard rock bands. One being the new single from Sebastian Bach and the other being the new single from Motley Crue. And my reaction to these two tracks couldn't be any more different. The new Sebastian track is called Hold On to the Dream, and it's on his upcoming album, which is coming out right away, called Child Within the Man. And I gotta say, man, this song blew me away. It's really, really good. This is, I think, the third single Sebastian has released from his upcoming album, and the first two songs I heard, I thought they were okay, but didn't blow me away. But this one is really good. By contrast, that new Motley Crue song that came out in the past week or so, Dogs of War or whatever, that's a stinker, man. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of Crue fans out there. Myself, I've been a Motley Crue fan since like 1984, and I could not make my way through this song. The first time I made it up to the first chorus, and I shut it off, and I thought, well, I'm not being fair. It's not really a fair assessment if I make it like a minute in. So the second time I tried making it through. I made it as far as John 5's guitar solo, and I had to stop. It doesn't have any hooks, doesn't really go anywhere. And again, I know some people dig it, and if you like it, awesome, more power to you. But that Crue song did nothing for me. But the Sebastian Bach song, if you haven't heard it, well worth checking out. It starts off like a ballad. I thought it was going to be a ballad, but turns out to be anything but a ballad. I've been cranking that song all week, man. It's super good. All right, I want to talk about this whole Burton Cummings feud next and kind of what I got out of it this week, because it's pretty cool. So if you haven't heard, or if you don't know who Burton Cummings is, he was the original or the best known frontman of the Guess Who, the legendary Canadian band responsible for songs like American Woman, These Eyes, Undone. Later on, it was like Share the Land and a bunch of others. I mean, they're from my hometown and they're an institution here. And a lot of those songs Burton co-penned with his former bandmate, Randy Bachman. And of course, Randy would go on to form BTO. Anyway, both these guys left the Guess Who decades ago, but they continued touring mostly in the US with the original drummer and the original bass player and some hired guns. Over the years, the bass player retired and the drummer basically retired, so the 4 or 5 guys left actually had nothing to do with the original band. Well, recently, Randy and Burton sued the Guess Who, telling them to basically stop doing this. They're not the Guess Who. They're deceiving the public, all that kind of stuff. And then Burton took it one step further, and this was all over the news. I'm just looking at the Billboard magazine article here. What Burton did is he canceled the performance license agreements for all his songs, which prevents the new Guess Who from actually performing any Guess Who tracks. And of course, that caused a lot of issues, a lot of controversy. And Burton, for his part, was saying he's basically doing it to protect his legacy, right? I get that this is a controversial issue, and I get that this could have other ramifications, but I respect Burton for putting his income on the line. He's losing money as he pulls back all these performance agreements, which is pretty wild. Anyway, I have to show my support where I can, so I actually went over to Burton's web store and I picked up a couple things this week for a pretty reasonable price. One, I love this classic image of Burton, and this is a signed 8x10 or whatever, with the lyrics to, I believe it's My Own Way to Rock. It says, I've got my own way to rock, I've got my own way to roll. When you're walking the walk, it's good for the soul. Anyway, it was hand-signed. I picked it up as a bonus, but I really went to the store to get this. One of my favorite Guess Who albums. This was after Randy Bachman had already left. I believe this is from 1970, but it's the Share the Land album. And what's cool, again, it was hand-signed by Burton Cummings. And all in, I think this was $60 Canadian, which is about $40 US, which is not bad for a hand-signed item directly from the artist. And this is nice pressing, gatefold. My favorite tracks on here, Bus Rider, that's okay. But I love Hand Me Down World and Share the Land. Two classics, man, two classics. These guys, at least in my hometown, were huge, hometown heroes. One of the main theaters in town is the Burton Cummings Theater, and I've seen all sorts of bands there since I moved back to my hometown. I've seen Alice Cooper there, Anthrax, Skid Row, I mean, tons. And everyone who lives in Winnipeg has a Burton Cummings story. I've seen them just pop up in bars and jam with bands, but my favorite Burton Cummings story was from the 1990s when I was in this band. And we had a jam house on Lansdowne in the city's north end. And one day I went to band practice, and a few of the guys lived there. And they're like, you're not going to believe what happened last night. And I said, what happened? There's a knock at the back door, and they opened the back door, and Burton Cummings was there, if I remember correctly, with a case of beer. And he explained that he, at one point, lived in this house. No, maybe he didn't have the beer yet. He was at the door. And he explained that he used to live in this house and wanted to check it out. He didn't know it was a band house and there was musicians living there. Just wanted to check it out. So he said, yeah, come on in. They gave him a tour and they started hanging out, and Burton had a great time. So he said, I'll be right back, and came back with like a case or two of beer, and they hung out all night jamming. And Burton, I think, came back at least a couple more times. And they would always have a good time there and jam on acoustic guitars and whatnot. So that's the typical Winnipeg Burton Cummings kind of story, and that's the kind of guy Burton is, so I had no problem supporting him, so I'm happy I grabbed this, especially great freaking album.
Channel 33, RPM.
What else do I want to show you? Check out this record I bought this past weekend. This is the deluxe version of Hemivision, which is an album from this, again, Canadian band called Big Sugar. And I don't think Big Sugar were very well known outside of this country, maybe in parts of Europe. But they weren't super well known. And how would I describe their music? And I made a couple notes here. It's like hard blues with the 90s, at least during this era, 90s alternative edge. And they combined reggae. And it was really different from anything else that was out there at the time. It was like a musical experiment that somehow went mainstream. I say it's bluesy. It wasn't like blues noodling. Actually, not a lot of guitar solos, but just got that blues vibe. It's really hard to describe. Anyway, this is probably my favorite album from Big Sugar. Hemivision came out in 1996. And I was happy to find this deluxe version at the store here called Entertainment Exchange at Grand Park Mall. It was $35, $25 US. So good deals still do exist. It's a 2 LP set. It's got the original one. The first album is the original album. The second album is all bonus tracks. And it came with a lot of goodies here too, including Forward by Alex Lifeson from Rush. There's the inside. I believe that's a Dodge Charger. That's what these guys are all about, man. It's like heavy blues, muscle cars, that kind of stuff. They're still around, but unfortunately the bass player on this album, Gary Lowe, he died back in 2018. This guy, man, was the coolest dude in rock. He was born in Jamaica. He moved to Canada in the 1970s when he was in his early 20s, and then he joined Big Sugar. This is him, this Rastafarian guy. Super cool, man. It's always awesome watching these guys play and that guy jam out. This record, again, for the price, I couldn't believe it came with a full booklet. A bunch of cool stuff in here. I haven't read through it all. But even the pictures and artwork, some of the stuff I've never seen before. These guys are still around and they're still touring. But basically now, you know, they're a 3-piece. The heyday of being like a 5 or 6-piece with a horn section and everything is kind of done. 2 records, colored vinyl. This one's green. And this one is this color, orange. I'm colorblind, I'm partially colorblind. I believe that's orange. Anyway, super happy to find this. If you're looking for something different and you kind of missed Big Sugar on the first go round and into that heavy alternative blues kind of stuff, but with not a lot of noodling, not a lot of guitar solos, this is the band to check out. All right, I also got this in the mail. This is the new EP from this band called Altered States. This EP is called Throw on the Dirt. I love that name. To me, it evokes an image of like a coffin or a casket going into the ground and people tossing dirt on the coffin. It's like the final goodbye, right? These guys are from West Virginia. They've been around since 1990 and reformed in 2019. I believe this is their second release since 2019. Mike Tronka, hope I'm saying that right, Mike Tronka is the guitar player. He's also a viewer of this channel, so he's the one who sent it to me. There's 5 tracks on here, and as I listened to it, as I typically do, I made notes and said this is classic thrash metal. It's go for the jugular thrash. I hear elements of Anthrax, Exodus, Megadeth, Testament. I was trying to put my finger on who or what the singer reminded me of. It's clean vocals, kind of spoken almost in places, but it kind of sort of maybe reminded me of early Suicidal Tendencies. Can't quite put my finger on it. Anyway, man, these guys are tight. They're in the pocket. Excellent musicianship. So I'm going to leave a link to Altered States Bandcamp so you can check it out yourself if you're into that kind of classic thrash metal sound. Mike, thank you very much for sending it over, man. You rock. All right, 33ers, let me know what you thought of the stuff I showed you in today's video. I will be back again really soon. Until then, keep on spinning.